Hello everyone, this is Rick and welcome to Astral Club. This episode is going to be called Astral Life, Afterlife. We're going to discuss my experience of what happens after one leaves your physical body for the last time. What happens in the astral, and then finally, if reincarnation occurs, how that occurs, why that occurs, and we're going to be answering one of the great questions I consider of the universe, which is, why reincarnation? And for instance, when you talk to people, your family and your friends, and say, hey, would you reincarnate if you have a choice? And they all give you one of two answers, no and no. So there's three reasons why reincarnation does occur, even though you can't find a lot of people right now who are interested in doing so. So stay tuned, and we're going to discuss those three reasons. These experiences are mine. They're also a result of my talking with a variety of entities over the years and asking questions about what happens and why these things happen. So the information is my own, is been given to me by other entities that I trust. Your mileage may vary. Jesus said in the Bible that in my Father's house there are many rooms. So, there could be realities out there that I have no clue about. So all I can offer here is what I've experienced and what I have been told. Now, this is where I want to discuss the weird situation that tends to exist. You walk around, and you should do this if you haven't done this before, and go to your friends, go to your family, and ask them, if you have a choice, and this is the perfect year to ask that question too, by the way, 2020, Annus Horribilis, horrible year. And ask them, if you have a choice, are you going to reincarnate? Are you going to come back here to Earth? And if your friends and family are anything like mine, you're going to get a resounding no. So why is the reincarnation? If this is true, who are they getting to reincarnate? Is it purely a forced process? For the most part, no, it is not. And there's three reasons that I have been able to learn from entities on the astral that have made sense to me. And let's see if they make sense to you. The first of the three is your astral body is not eternal. It does die. It does cease to exist. The astral body is a lot like the physical body in that it is made of energy and matter. Now, it's energy and matter that we here on Earth don't currently have ways to accurately detect and measure. But it is energy and matter. And as such, all energy and matter eventually will decay into another form. People who see spirits and ghosts, normally you'll find that you won't see an entity that had a lifetime much more than 200 years ago. The reason being, and even then when you see those spirits, sometimes what you'll see is actually a vacated corpse of an astral body that is in the process of decaying. There's not a lot of details to it. It's very nebulous and misty, and it tends to be going through an automated series of actions, as if it's on autopilot. It's because the soul has to leave the astral body that it had. When the physical body perishes, the energy that was being fed to the astral body stops abruptly. Now, the lifespan of the astral body varies, just like our physical lifespans vary, but it is limited. The astral body is not eternal. So a decision has to be made. And when I say decision, that's not the most accurate term. because it's something that occurs naturally. You either have to proceed to the mental plane, the next higher level, or you've got to go back to the physical. Now, there is one exception where you can continue longer in the astral, but I have promised that I won't share that because it's profoundly evil, and it's nothing that anybody should try to take advantage of. So I'm not going to talk about it. But for the most part, those are the two choices. Now, before you say, well, fine, I'm just going off to the mental, I have discussed the mental plane before. I have visited it. It certainly is interesting. But it's also a profoundly alien place. It's a place where the ego is dissolved, where it's pure thought. And all of the familiar trappings that you've seen in the physical and in the astral are gone. There's no familiar fixed points of reference. There's no faces and places and names. So if it's a place that you feel you belong, that's fine. But if it's not, and you'll know if it's not, then it's time to return to a body. Now, keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to return to a physical body here on Earth. And by the way, all my information is you come back into another human's body. I guess it's theoretically possible that you do something else on Earth, but that would be extremely rare. It's also possible, though, especially if you've been an astral projector and you have some sort of pulls or connections elsewhere in the universe, that you might reincarnate in an alien body. But once again, that is extraordinarily rare. So talking about it is very much the exception and not the rule. So you've got this basic choice, and it's something that you realize pretty early on. So you've got to make that decision to either get promoted or else go back into a physical body.
Hello and welcome to my channel Dark Matrix. My name is Tina, and today I'm gonna talk about death. Yes, death. I came to the conclusion that we die twice, in body and in soul, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by that. This came to my mind quite recently, and no matter which way I turn, it seems like going back to the same spot. So there's something in it. Well, first of all, I would like to say that the real death doesn't happen here on this planet. The real death happens in Astral. Everybody knows that the physical body has to die, okay, so we all know that, and people call it death, but consciousness actually survives the physical death. Consciousness moves on to the other side, to the astral reality, and what happens then? Well, there's been many hypothetic things created about the whole scenario of what happens after. It all depends who you are, what is your awareness, and where you end up after. I'm talking here about majority of people who are kind of manipulated in here quite easily in this life, and they are like guided towards that place, like towards the tunnel, the light, and the light beings of light are waiting on the other side, and they taking care of everyone basically. Once you're there, you are at their mercy, at their hands, unless you are awakened enough and aware enough not to go that route and go to your own place of existence. But I'm gonna make another video about it as well. I think I spoke about it already, but there is more. So anyway, you die, you go through the tunnel, you're met by some beings of light, you usually have your life review, from what I managed to gather, and then you are kind of allowed to stay on the other side for a while, or some claim that they almost had to come back almost like immediately. And this is the spot, the point actually, when you're going back here, because I'm talking here about reincarnation, the memory wipe takes place, and this is actually your other death, because when your when the memory is being wiped, you lose your identity, and once you lose your identity, you don't remember who you are. This is like a spiritual death, I call it. So first is physical death, and then is spiritual death. So it's two different types of death we are facing. And of course, if you are reincarnated many times, each time you die here, you're going through the whole process again and again and again. So what I'm saying here, this is extremely disturbing, and what I would like to talk about really is about that loss of this identity, because it's a massive deal, guys. It's a really massive deal. I don't want to lose my identity. I want to continue in my present awareness of who I am, and I don't want to become somebody else. I mean, if they say, okay, there's one soul and the soul's got to reincarnate many times, and the same soul awareness goes on and on and on. I mean, I don't agree that it's the same soul awareness, because each time you reincarnate here, you've got different identity. This is what everything goes back to. You get a new identity. Like, for example, I mean, I don't care who I was in my previous life, because I don't have any connection to that other personality, to that other person who was different identity. I don't know what my name was. I don't know where I was reincarnated here. I don't remember any relationships, any kids if I had any, what sort of job I did, and all sort of stuff. I don't remember nothing. So I've got zero connections, and that means that whoever was here with this soul vessel, all that was wasted. And this is something that I just came to realize, that it's worth looking into, because if that was wasted because nobody remembers who that name was, where that person lived, I mean, what was the point really? What was the point? I mean, I took when I was born in this body, right, that I'm sitting in here, I had this new identity and I had to learn everything from scratch. So whoever was occupying this soul vessel, it was like that person, that whoever that was, it doesn't exist anymore. It was all gone, done, and it was, as I said, wasted almost. If we here to learn, what would be so bad if we remembered that we are continuously here? Let's say you've got plan to spend here 3 lifetimes, okay? You agreed to it, and you should be fully able to remember who you were before, what your name was, where you lived before, perhaps, and everybody should talk about it openly. There shouldn't be massive taboo and secret about it, really. Many people still question, is reincarnation real? Do we really reincarnate? Well, shouldn't be such an issue, but everything is hidden. And why is it hidden? Because there's something to be hidden from us, so we don't question it. Because if, majority of us has really bad deal in here, really. Life is full of obstacles and challenges and stuff, so we all know that it's not an easy ride in here, right? What I'm saying, like, my new identity, if I don't do something about being enough aware, this identity here that is sitting now and talking to you guys, is going to be recycled, and once I die, if I reincarnate again because I wasn't awakened enough, if I didn't do something about my own existence, that's going to be all ditched, all forgotten and erased from existence. Because who's going to remember? I mean, as I said, I mean, if I was here before, and that means every one of you should question, if you were here before, who were you? What was your name? What did you do? How come we don't remember? I mean, this is extremely disturbing, because everything is forgotten, and it's almost like it's convenient that the system is running this, that everybody's forgetting, that it doesn't matter. So let's move on, let's learn lessons here. Let's come back and make more lessons. Well, disturbing, that's why I call it like a second death. I would like to say a little story in here, and this is about my own mom. She died when I was very young. I was 17, and she died very tragically. Our home life was really horrific. There was lots of domestic violence and all sorts of abuse. She died because of the domestic violence. As I said, I was very, very young. At the time I was religious. My mom was a very religious person. She used to go to church. She used to pray all the time, I remember. And when I look back, for what I can see from the perspective of time, her prayers were never answered once. Mine were not answered either. And so of my sisters. Anyway, that was a long time ago. My mama died, that was 1977, and it was like it was yesterday. I never recovered fully from what happened to her. How did she die? And that was the turning point in my life, basically, that made me a seeker, because over the years I started to question the existence of God. I started to question religion. Why am I mentioning this? Because I always thought that one day when I die, I'm going to meet my mama, that I'm going to see her in heaven again, that we're going to see each other, because this is how I was brought up to believe. This is what Catholic religion teaches us, that, you know, if you're religious, that there's a God, there's Jesus, and, you know, whoever dies is going to be reunited, and you're going to be all happy ever after. However, time went on, and I want to say that although my mama was a very religious person, she was interested in afterlife subject, I remember, and she believed that we don't die, that the consciousness goes on. She gave me a few signs, and it was like horrific, because I didn't understand what was going on. So there was like a hunting going on in a place, to the point that I was afraid to sleep at home for quite a while. And I have to stay with my sister or my friends. But anyway, I believed that one day I'm going to see her, and I'm going to hear from her when we meet, obviously. What really happens, because she believed that there is life after death, she was questioning this. I think if she was to live longer, she would have been quite a seeker, maybe even on a metaphysical way, like I am. Who knows? But the story goes on that when I met my husband, I mentioned in my last video that he's very gifted psychic. We've been together now for quite a few years, and we were communicating with all sorts of different people, entities, because we're both seekers and we've got very open mind. And I was hoping that my mama would come one day through my husband and speak to me. Never happened once. Never once. I didn't get no sign whatsoever. By the way, the hunting lasted for about 3 months after she died, and that was 1977. And after that, I never had one single sign that she was existing somewhere, that she moved on to some sort of heaven, that she was free spirit and she could do whatever. I know for the fact that she would have done it, that she would have, if she could, she would have tried to contact me and give me some sort of message. It never happened. Never happened. So I kind of believe, observing this whole situation, I told you guys the very short version of it, what happened. I got a reason to believe now that my mama was simply reincarnated after a little while. And she's not in no heaven, that she came back to earth, and maybe, because that was such a long time, that she could have been even twice reincarnated since. I mean, it's going to be like 48 years ago this year in December. So what I'm trying to say, that that to me it's heartbreaking, because we all have relatives or maybe friends, who crossed over, and to realize that there is such a possibility that we may not see them again. For me, it's very disturbing. I mentioned in one of my other videos about that somebody doing the NDE was shown an essence of the mother, and immediately asked the being of light. They said, "Look, this is who is this? It doesn't look like her." "Oh, it's her essence," that person was told. So I don't think I would. Honestly, I would know my mom. When I die, if I see some sort of something, some artificially created little image, I would know immediately that it's not her. So the question is, where is she? Really? As I said, it's been a long time. We managed to talk to some people who crossed over like recently, but some others, it's very, very difficult, because yes, there's exceptions, but I'm talking about majority. It should be one rule for everybody. Once you cross over, you shouldn't be messed about with, and you should be able to stay where you, if you reach some sort of place that you really enjoy, that you really feel comfortable staying, you shouldn't be kicked out of there, because especially people say, "Oh, I'm going home." Really? So if you're going home, how come you're coming back here to reincarnate again? That home is lost. I don't have any feeling that I have a home up there, really. And the more I look into it, the more disturbing all that scenario seems to be really. Because if you have a home that you love and you feel safe, why would you want to come back here to this crazy, evil place? I personally see this as a hell. This is the maybe upper level of hell, or maybe lowest level of hell, because I personally don't believe that there is in the whole creation of the whole universe that there's a worse place than planet Earth. I don't think so.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing today? Sending you positive energy like always. I'm feeling kind of funky energetically today, last day or so. It's been kind of rough, but I'm going to focus in this moment, and I want to discuss something that isn't really talked about a lot. Unless it is talked about, and then like people do videos on YouTube, and the videos disappear or something. But there's something very real that is definitely a reality that is not discussed enough, and that is the existence of what we call a second death. This second death, after physical death, after your human body expires, there's a secondary death process in the etheric body. Now, this second death in the etheric body, it isn't exactly something that everyone individually, case by case, consciousness by soul, it goes through. Okay, there's varying degrees. There's a full spectrum of different types of scenarios that go on. after your physical body dies. And also, the way we experience our human expiration date, if it's a long-term illness, if it's all of a sudden, getting run over by a train, or, most people, when they pass away in their human body, kind of already know that they're going to expire, at least somewhat ahead of time. That's pretty much the norm. That's pretty typical, pretty normal. And for a lot of those people, you receive messages through while you're awake, and also in your dreams, or even out-of-body experiences before you die, the couple days before your body actually dies. You are visited by certain guides, or maybe a certain bloodline, or real friends who've passed over before you, that kind of thing. There's all of that kind of going on, but some of it also is just programming, virtual programming, holographic programming from other beings that are trying to get you through the reincarnational loop, so that you continue your own what we would call a soul trap, so that goes on too. So that it's just all over the place, and we'll talk more and more about that. But let's focus here on the second death process. Like I said, everyone doesn't go through the same process, but a lot of times, what happens is, when your physical body dies, for the most of us, there's at least a 1 or 2 or 3 day process. So just like how there's a few day process prior to physical death, where you start to see entities, beings, start hearing voices, start seeing a tunnel of light, start having spontaneous out-of-body experiences, things that are prepping and gearing you for that shift, that change is coming very quickly. There's also a transitionary kind of phase of where your soul, after physical death, moves into your etheric body temporarily, and you have this opportunity to say your goodbyes, to say goodbye to certain people that you loved a lot, certain bloodline, family, friends, whatever it may be. I mean, it could even be a place here on Earth, a special place to you that you just want to go to in a ghost form in that etheric body, and just kind of chill there and observe it and whatnot, and say goodbye to it. But what people do with their intentions, in just their their own consciousness in that etheric body, ghost body, it varies, obviously, as you can imagine. For example, somebody might be very heavily connected and addicted to some other person that's still alive, and then in that etheric body, that person just stays like a ghost in the 4D plane, and just literally just follows and stays with that particular person that they're just super connected to. Okay, and then the person who's passed away, the person who's in the etheric body, is then also, because of the connection between that particular person and the ghost, the person who's deceased in the etheric body is actually taking, I wouldn't say in a really negative way, or like a siphoning kind of energy way, but just kind of more of a naturalistic process. It's taking a little amounts of the vital force, of that etheric body of the person who's alive still, in their human body. And a lot of that energy comes through the crown area of the person who's still alive, and also through the heart and the solar plex. Those are kind of the three main areas where you can really, when you're out of body, where you notice it's like the webbing, the energetic webbing in the small little cords and all the things that are not visible by your human eyes, how they come out of the person and feed into their etheric energy, their energy body. And it's almost like the person who's passed away in their ghost body, they're hanging out with that person because they're so connected to that person. And it's almost like those particular areas of the energy body, crown, heart, solar plex, it's almost like there's this energetic webbing, this entanglement of energetic strings, cords, however you want to describe that, and it feeds off of it, but like I said, more in a natural way, not in really a harmful way. And so that person who's died in that etheric body basically gets the vitality and is re-energizing its own etheric body, and stays in that ghost realm, that 4D etheric realm, stays with its soul and consciousness centered in that etheric energy body for a very, very long time. And then in another scenario, like if somebody isn't finding a way to kind of feed the vital force of the etheric body after physical death, the etheric body basically starts to just almost like disintegrate and dissolve. And when a person has an etheric body, like natural death, where they just dissolve away energetically, and then shift, their soul then just leaves out of that particular body and shifts into the very next layer, which would be their first astral body layer. And then they go into that body as a transitional process, and then that astral body, then there's multiple scenarios that astral body goes through also. This is a little more complicated and complex than what people may think. This whole, the whole death, the experiences we have after physical death. There's a lot more going on than what meets the eye. And there's a lot of different scenarios and possibilities. Let me go over some more things here. So, out of my with my own observations out of body in this etheric plane, what I also notice is sometimes I will. If I venture a far distance, I'm out of body, I'm in the structure where my, human body is sleeping or laying down or whatnot, and I get out of there, but I go a far distance. I just move in any particular direction on the etheric plane, and then what I've seen randomly is like. These certain lines of people who are in their etheric body, and they're waiting. They're waiting to go through like a doorway or a portal. It's almost like going to like an airport, and you notice like the large group of 100 or a few hundred people sitting in that waiting area, before they board a plane, and there's the tunnel, right? And then they have to wait till a certain person comes out, or a certain time. Well, there's no time there, but a certain person comes out, let's say, and says, "Okay, we're ready to go. We're ready to board," right? It's that kind of vibe, that kind of feeling. That's what it kind of reminded me of while I was seeing it. And going in my OBE in that etheric realm, and going up to random ghosts, basically, and just kind of asking them, what are you waiting for? You know, like, what is this line for? Why is there a group of people just sitting around waiting for something? And from a few different interactions over the years, I found that, like, one of the group of people were actually just waiting in line before they were to go through some kind of passageway. I think one of the beings called it a passage, and that passage was then leading to a heaven reality construct, a heavenly realm, a heavenly reality, and so I can only imagine that whatever that heavenly world was just one of many different types of heavenly astral constructs in the higher up astral planes that have been powered up and been used for many different souls and many years and over time, and for whatever reason, that group of people that were waiting to go to that particular one, maybe they're all from the same religious belief structure or something like that. Who knows? That's kind of some of that. And what I've learned too is people have these ghosts or just souls who are hanging out in the etheric realm after physical death. They haven't passed on to any of the astral planes or whatnot. And what I've noticed too is you can fly and levitate in your astral bodies or in your etheric body. And what I've noticed is people, these beings, they won't even know that they can actually fly or levitate off of the etheric ground, as I guess you can call it. They have no idea. It's like they've never perceived that, or no, it's not that. It's they doubt that they can do it. So then I'll actually just levitate up like 20 feet or 30 feet and just float there and hover there over them, and then come down and then try to show them how to do it themselves. And actually, once the particular being loses self-doubt, once they don't have doubt about it anymore, then I realize they can just start kind of floating up too, and they just have the craziest facial expression whenever that happens. So that wasn't one time where I've done this. I've experimented with that, and I've done that a handful of times, different times. Very interesting there. And so, yeah, obviously this topic is extensive. Obviously, there's so many things to cover and talk about when it comes to this whole idea of this second death process in the etheric body, and how there's so many different angles and different scenarios and possibilities, and everyone kind of goes through a different process, and there's certain groups of people who go through a similar process, but after many examples of observing and interacting with beings while out of body in my own, what I call my etheric body, and seeing the things I've seen over the years, I definitely agree with the whole idea of there being a second death in the etheric body. I absolutely 100% agree and believe that it is real for a lot of people, and